This is very exciting. I'm happy that we're ready to get started here. This is a wonderful program that we have. We're very proud of it. I know we've got some people that graduated in the back there, and appreciate you guys helping with what's going on right now. I'm Joe Schember, Mayor of Erie. Very, very proud of this program. I think it started a couple years before I became mayor, but we've really grown it in size since then. And I really see this as a way to transform Erie in a better way, to make Erie better. One of my top priorities as mayor is to eliminate racism and prejudice in Erie. I want every person in Erie to be accepted for the unique talents and skills that I believe everybody's got, every one of you. And that's regardless of your gender, your male or female, your religion, your ethnicity, where your parents or grandparents or great-grandparents came from. We're almost all, I would say almost everyone in this room, I'd be surprised if it's not everybody, is not a Native American. In other words, that for centuries our parents and grandparents have lived here. We're all the descendants of immigrants and refugees, and that is one of the very unique things about the United States, and one of the things I value very highly. I think it's really a wonderful thing. So I'm happy to be here with you. Look forward to seeing all of you in the first two rows here get your diplomas and your graduation. Thanks very much for all the work you've done. You've got great futures ahead of you. Remember, you're the future of Erie, not me. I might be the past of Erie soon, but this is really a wonderful, wonderful program. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the guy in charge, Lieutenant Lennox.
Okay, before I turn it over to the chief, I'd like everybody to please rise for the singing of our national anthem by our own Academy Cadet, Ms. Taziah Johnson.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Oh, wow. Wow. Now I can see why Taziah every morning on pickup and drop off was getting in my ear singing in it. Unbelievable. That was unbelievable, girl. Before we get started, before you hear from me, I'd like to introduce our police chief, Dan Spizzarni, to come up and say a few words.
I think I'd like to pass on my time and let her sing another song. It's been a great week. I see these guys everywhere, on Facebook, in the Perry Square, in the building, in the basement, in the offices. You guys really had a busy week of meeting and learning. And that's a great camp where you can go and learn things that you're not going to have the opportunity. A lot of kids don't have the opportunity to see what you did. And like we talked right in this very room just a few days ago, it doesn't matter if you do end up choosing to go into law enforcement or like we talked about, whatever field that you guys decide, you be the leader in that field. Whatever it is, you be the leader at school, at home, in your community. And that's what's great about this program. You're learning what you need to be, what you need to know in order to be great. If it's taking notes during presentations, asking questions, just listening and being there, you're doing a great job. Please keep it up, and we look forward to seeing it another camp here in the near future. I'd like to bring back Lieutenant Lennox.
All right, as most of you know, I never have a script. Ask Chris. All right? That's a joke. But, you know, I'm going to try to be as brief as I can, but kind of not. Because today is 100% about these front two rows sitting here in front of us. All right? Before I get into the week, briefly about some of the things that we did throughout the week, I first want to, start off by thanking Mayor Joe Schember, Chief Dan Spizzarni, Inspector Janice, Chief William Marucci, and I also want to thank the officers throughout the whole week. We're a pretty busy department, and sometimes we can't predict what's going to happen throughout our city, whether it's on a patrol level, whether it's in a criminal investigation division level, whether it's on a special operations level, when we're talking about our SWAT team or bomb squad, the various different types of duties and responsibilities that this department has to uphold. I was very impressed throughout the whole week that every one of those divisions and every officer here within these walls stepped up and set a significant amount of time of their day aside to make sure that every one of these cadets got 100% the education, the information, which hopefully will bring them one step closer to this profession. So for all the officers and presenters throughout the week, thoroughly impressed. My officers that, my POW officers that constantly, I know Mayor Joe Schember just said, hey, the leader of the program. That's not true. You're only as good as your team. And, I appreciate the compliment, but I say it time and time again. But the officers that believe in this program as much as I do wouldn't be standing up here on that stage without an Antoine Fields, without a Sergeant Curtis Waite, Officer Dave Smith, Sergeant Melanie Szorek, and the list goes on. I mean, we have over 90-some officers that are directly involved in this program. And, I'm just very humbled to be the guy that gets to hopefully help lead these officers, in the direction, in the right direction as it relates to this program. So you can't do anything in life alone, and we've talked about this with the cadets throughout the whole week. Next, individuals I want to thank are, you notice that, we have our cadets sitting up here, with their silver badges on. We got a different T-shirt this year, but my thanks goes out to the other shirts that you see in the audience that have the big POW emblem slapped on their chest. And, again, just like my officers, I can't do it without these, and I call them the veterans that have been in this program for 5+ years, some of them 7, 8 years, and they are the leaders of our program. They are. I can sit up here all day. We can bring new kids in every year. But if these younger kids don't have that blueprint of their peer group, of what it's like that they need to follow, none of this works. So I'm very, very proud that my veterans, please stand up, that have made it here today. Okay? And I thank you guys. You can be seated. And, and they know I love them. I talk to all of those individuals that stand up probably multiple times a week. And, and I love it. But again, that's part of the message that these cadets up here heard throughout the whole week. And before we get into the week, we kept emphasizing all week that who's next? Who's going to step into the shoes of these veterans that's sitting behind them? Because when they're going off to greener pastures, college, trade school, military, hopefully the police academy. All right, we need the younger future leaders to kind of step into those shoes. And that's what this thing is all about. And that's what it's about in our community as well. If they don't see it, they're not going to live it. Okay? So, again, I can't thank these guys enough for keeping me on the rails too. Right, Ariel? Okay? So, without further ado, again, this is all about these newer cadets that, that graduated throughout the week. Put a lot of hard work in, and for some of you that aren't familiar, this is our second camp of our summer camp series that we have. July is just running, okay? But this camp here particularly is my favorite. Why? Because it's one of those camps that not everybody gets a trophy. You know what I mean? We live in a society where it's like, hey, we're going to give something for nothing, even though you didn't earn it, okay? And I'm pretty confident every year now we're getting to the point that this camp, and it isn't just me that makes this selection, it's the other officers that I work with throughout the year that gives me some recommendation. Hey, I think Taziah would be a great camp cadet, or she'd be a great junior police academy cadet, okay? Or, hey, I think Vanessa, I think she's ready, or I think Blake, he's been in the program for 6-7 years. I think it's time, so a lot of these kids have been chomping at the bit. Last year, some of them had hurt feelings because they weren't selected. All right? Not because they were doing anything wrong, but because on a maturity level, we want, for this camp, for them to absolutely get something out of it throughout the week. And sometimes if you do it too soon, it might be too soon, and they might not retain a lot of the stuff that they're getting. So throughout the week, all right, what we did, Monday, all right, we usually start off right out of the door. We want these guys to experience what it's really like from getting a letter from Inspector Janice saying, hey, we did your background, which we do that vetting throughout the school year, and for some of these kids, years, to see what kind of character you have, behavior, attendance, respect, those kinds of things, similar to what Inspector Janice does when he's looking at a new hire, okay? So they got their acceptance letter before they even started day one saying, hey, you have been officially accepted into the academy. So day one on Monday, we don't even come here first. We go directly out at the police academy out in Northeast so they can have a sneak peek and an up-close personal experience of what it's like to attend any police academy as a cadet, as a potential police hire. So while we were out there, the kids met with the academy director. We went out. They did an obstacle course, which was basically Pennsylvania standard, what all young cadets have to take before they can even get into the academy. They got into this thing called a simulator, to where they had an opportunity to go in and act out dialogue, real-world experiences that would help you in making pretty quick decisions. And 90% of this job is what, guys? Begins with a big C. Critical thinking is one, but communication, so they had an opportunity to go out there and kind of test that ability to see where they're at there. So after we, got done with the academy, and plus they got introduced to some of the course load and some of the things to expect if they make that decision to become a police officer, that ended day one. And it was a good start to set the tone for the rest of the week. Tuesday, what we did is we went over to the Erie County Courthouse and to give these cadets an opportunity to see what it's like in that system over here across the street. They had an opportunity to meet right out of the door with Captain Marty Davis. They spent time with the Sheriff's Department, understanding what their roles and responsibilities are and their duties. They immediately met with District Attorney Elizabeth Hers and her detectives and Stein, where we split the groups in half. Beth had at least an hour with them, and Detective Stein had another hour with them, and we flip-flop the groups so they can have a pretty good, clear understanding of what it is that the district attorney's office does. From there, we went over and we had lunch with District Justice Tom Carney over at his office, where we had a little bit of a pizza party, and he discussed in detail what his role is as a district magistrate. So right after lunch, we went back over to the Erie County Courthouse, and we met with Court of Common Pleas Judge Aaron Marucci, who spent a long time with these kids explaining to them the whole criminal procedure process as it relates to trials, preliminary hearings, what are the roles and responsibilities of jurors, discussed from a prosecution standpoint what goes on, and then she went on the other side to the defense side. So they had a complete education on what a common pleas judge does. From there, we went to juvenile probation and adult probation, where we had the parole officers meet with these cadets to explain to them what those systems look like from a probation and parole standpoint. After that, we initially, I got to tell this brief story. We initially were going to go to the coroner's office, but I went down to the coroner's office and met with Coroner Lau Cook. As soon as I opened up the door, they had a fresh one in there, and I figured they would not eat lunch after the smell. So we kind of put the kiboshes to that, and we came back to the police memorial and had a debriefing. Now, before I get into the rest of the week, I think it's very important to know that our daily routine after we picked up, okay, and it's a traditional thing where we meet daily right out here in front of the police memorial, which holds a significant meaning for anybody that's in law enforcement. These are officers that have paid the ultimate sacrifice, and we use that as an opportunity to talk about that daily after saying the Pledge of Allegiance, having our moment of silence. And it could have been anything that was going through their head besides honoring the officers that unfortunately lost their lives, but even in their personal lives. So that's how we started our day every single day. Get to Wednesday, Thursday, and I'll combine both days. That's when, the academy's done, they had the courthouse filled, and now they just got hired at the City of Erie Police Department. They just got hired. They were new hires, and we treated them as such. After the building tour, they got to know immediately what it's like to be a patrol officer, starting at roll call, all the many different complex information that's being peppered out at these officers every day as it relates to missing persons, stolen vehicles, wanted people, you name it, special attentions in particular areas, of the city. So they got to see that right out of the door. This is what roll call looks like. Every single one of these cadets know zone cars now. They know when they see the big A, the B, the numbers on those cars, the C, they have a clear understanding everything about zones throughout the city and what these officers' responsibilities are when they're out there patrolling. Whether it's a one-man car, a two-man car, a supervisor car, we went over all that stuff. We had a couple officers, as it relates to patrol, that went down, showed these cadets patrol cruiser operations, the Bearcat, which is our SWAT vehicle, actually put them through scenarios on traffic stops. They were taught the protocol of what we look for on traffic stops and the tactics that we use that helps keep everybody safe, not just the officers, but the occupants that are inside of the vehicle. And it was kind of fun and comical at times to watch these cadets kind of play that out and what they would do in those situations. And they all passed the test and did a wonderful job. So circling through our City Hall visit, Mayor Joe Schember came out on lunch and gave, the cadets a pretty good motivational talk about success, about following your dreams, dreaming big, and, basically reinforcing how much these kids are going to change this city. So that was nice. Chief Spizzarni, Inspector Janis, everybody in our command staff took the time to not only talk about what their roles and duties are, but additionally, what was their personal journey into coming into this profession. That's important. Okay? So the last 2 days, or Wednesday, Thursday, they rotated through criminal investigation division. Our major crimes, our white-collar crimes, our identification unit, our property division, our sex crimes unit, our juvenile detective unit, anything that's under the umbrella, internal affairs, anything that's under the umbrella of our criminal investigation division, these guys had an opportunity to meet with not only the officers, but the heads of those departments. Our vice and narcotics unit. So they had, as you can see, it was a wealth of information and education that they got throughout the whole week. Which brings us to Friday. And I'm skipping a lot of stuff that we did, but as far as the up close and personal conversations that these kids and these cadets had with not just myself, but with the officers that worked throughout the whole week, for me, those are the most powerful moments that I can have as being the director or supervisor of this program, is to stand back from a distance and to watch the exchange of Johnny having a conversation with Officer Dave. You know what I mean? Or watching Yasila have a conversation with Officer Curtis. And to kind of listen to that dialogue and that exchange, for me, is probably the most special thing that just warms my heart. Because when we have a lot of people out here that still are convinced that the police are the enemy, we don't want to help. I tell you what, I got almost 1,200 living proofs that that's not true. You know what I mean? And parents, adults that are out there doing what you're doing with your kids now, keep doing what you're doing. Keep spreading the information and reinforcing to these kids that they are going to be successful. They are going to be able to get into anything that they want to be if they put the work in. Keep reinforcing the fact that you don't take nothing for free. Anything. You work for it. And if somebody gives you something for free, give it back and tell them, I didn't earn it. What do I got to do to earn it? And that's the reinforcement, not only in this academy that these kids get just this week, they get it year round. So I thank you guys for supporting your children and getting them here and buying in just as much as they do. All right, so kids, I want you to round of applause to your parents. All right, they've heard the Tom Talks enough. So without further ado, what I'd like to do is recognize the graduating class. And so normally they would say hold off your applause until the end. No. For every individual that's called, make sure you clap it up for them. All right? So if everybody wants to stand up, we'll get rolling. All right, so kids, as soon as you get your diploma, I want you to come across the stage and I want you to shake everybody's hand and say what? Thank you. All right? So our first third annual Junior Police Athletic League graduating cadet, Yasila Delgado. The next graduating cadet, Johnny Gamble. The next graduating cadet is Jamarius Bolden. The next graduating cadet, Jerry Ellis Hernandez. next graduating cadet, Vanessa Webster. The next graduating cadet, Blake Bennett. Here's our junior Whitney. Oh, yeah. Our next graduating cadet, Taziah Johnson. Our next graduating cadet, Bryce Coy. Our next graduating cadet, Jacob Zemansky. Our next graduating cadet, Xavion Crockett. Our next graduating cadet, Orion Bolden. Our next graduating cadet, Demarion Bolden. Our next graduating cadet, Richard Lee. Our next graduating cadet, Samara Jones. Our next graduating cadet, which there's a little historical value here. All right, this next individual I'm going to introduce. She is our first high school graduate in the POW program, Miss Anaya Gamble. All right, so we have two cadets. One went on vacation yesterday, could not be here, and I'd be remiss without mentioning him. Mr. Malik Outlaw, let's give him a round. And we had an illness this morning. Really wish she could have been here today. Let's give it up for Miss Yanisa Ortiz Soto. All right. Yeah. You can stay standing if you want. I don't care. I think they want to see behind you, though. All right. Just, wrapping things up a little bit. Before I get into this last component, I just want to say that, as much as it's an honor and privilege, and I take a lot of pride and melts my heart when I watch our officers having those exchanges, dialogues, hugs, and those kinds of things, even probably a little bit more special than that for me. And again, I got front row seat every year, watching these kids grow, watching them mature, watching them at times make mistakes, and watching them, once they make some of those mistakes, try to figure out a way with some assistance to, and some support to help them walk through any situation. That's been a lot of fun and joy. Because they're told all the time, and they hear it from every single officer that they talk to, we're human, we make mistakes. And we tell them, especially teenagers and adolescents, there's going to be times where you are going to fall. You are going to make those mistakes. And sometimes that's how you get better at life. You know what I mean? Is what you do after you make those mistakes. Either throw in the towel, punch out, or learn from it, trudge on, and continue to strive to be better. We talked a lot about deficiencies throughout the whole week. Everybody has them. Everybody has them. So part of growth, even myself, I know what my strong suits are and I also know what my weaknesses are. And we had a lot of discussion about how we hammer in and hone in on those weaknesses and spend less time on your strengths. That way, you can become a more well-rounded person. And the reason why I say that is, this week it was fun to watch some quiet ones really come out of their shell and present themselves and show themselves a little bit. That was fun to watch. Some, like Yasila, not mentioning any names, Yasila, Samara, not to mention any names. I said I wasn't going to name drop, but, there were some that it was a joy to kind of see them kind of show a lot more confidence and just step outside of themselves and pretty much take charge. And that's very enjoyable. That's more enjoyable than, wouldn't you agree, Antoine? That is so enjoyable. But throughout the week, they were told day one that it starts day one in terms of, I was looking for, every year it's traditional. We select a camper, or as the years go, campers of the week, where it starts for day one. That's another thing I forgot to mention, is they're provided a field notebook, just like a police officer has and carries in their duty bag, on their person, in their pocket, whatever. They were provided a field notebook, and they were required to take notes throughout the whole week. And last night I spent a significant amount of time going over those notebooks, and that's part of the decision making that comes into selecting my cadets of the week. Now, not just me, I select these. These are my fellow officers that select these with me, and actually are veterans that have gone through this academy and have been around for quite a while. Madeline Janis, I forgot to recognize her. She's a college student, junior at Gannon University, gave up and dedicated her time throughout the week. And actually, I think I got my hook in her mouth, because she's like, when's the next one? Which is a good sign. I like it. So before I read who the cadets of the week are, there's two paragraphs I want to read. All right. And by the way, all of you guys have these qualities. All right. For your outstanding leadership, attention, engagement, and commitment to the 3rd Annual Junior Police Athletic League, or Junior Police Academy, which took place on Monday, July 10th through Friday, July 14th of 2023. I'll skip down to the third paragraph. Throughout the week, you took this opportunity seriously. You were an exemplary role model to your peers. You were attentive. You conducted yourself in a respectful manner, asking relevant questions of the presenters, and you helped and supported others. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Joseph V. Schember, Mayor of the City of Erie, and Lieutenant Tom Lennox, Coordinator of the Erie Police Athletic League, do hereby, for your outstanding leadership, character, maturity, and integrity, on a daily basis, you exhibited those qualities that define what a POW kid should represent. You are on the right path for a future in law enforcement or another career that involves protecting and serving others. We are proud of you and keep up the good work. Now, before I announce this, every single one of you display those qualities. But these four I'm about ready to announce went above and beyond. Above and beyond. And I'm just going to get right into it. And I want standing ovations from the cadets, minimally, after I announce these names. All right, our first cadet of the week, Vanessa Webster. Whoop. Our next cadet of the week, and by the way, our presenters were blown away by the questions. Am I right, Inspector Janis? Our cadets were blown away by some of the questions that, these kids continue to ask to challenge them a little bit. I was back here on Google. So I forgot that. What is that? I'm teasing. But there were those moments. That's how much these kids challenge you throughout the week. Our next cadet of the week, Yasila Delgado. Okay, our next cadet of the week, Taziah Johnson. All right, last, but certainly not least, Mr. Bryce Coy. All right. So, wrapping it up in conclusion, I would like to thank everybody. I want to thank the cadets first and foremost. Thanks for bringing your A game most days, sometimes a B plus, but for the most part, I mean, that was a grind this week, and I really appreciate you bringing your A game from start to finish. And really looking forward to next week. And next week, what we're doing, just so you guys know, we're taking all 3 academy classes in the 3 previous years, and we're going up to Mercyhurst University to meet with their forensic and criminal intelligence program, and we're going to spend a day up there with those people, just because they've earned it, and just to give them another, dynamic of what this system's all about that most people don't think about, the intelligence. And they actually met with our criminal analyst here, and I think we had a couple that a light bulb went off thinking, oh, man, I can do that. You know what I mean? So that was pretty cool. I want to thank everybody for coming, and I thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for not only getting behind your kids and the youth in our community, thanks for getting behind this program. Without the support from everybody in this room, and I see familiar faces. Parents, you're used to me pulling up to the house honking that horn, which I know it's annoying. But, without your guys' support, none of this could be possible. Keep encouraging your kids. Cadets, I'm very proud of you. You should be proud of yourself, and we are going to conclude by applauding you. Thank you. Good job. This concludes the ceremony. Cadet class, even my veterans, I want to get some photos up here before everybody takes off with your families. So let's get some photos, and we'll call it a wrap. Thank you very much.